Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me well. So welcome to Asia Pacific University's APU Postgraduate Virtual Webinar Session. My name is Cynthia from APU and I'm your host for this session. So this session we're about to start is the second session of today. All right, just now we have covered a topic on why postgraduate matters for future skills and future jobs. So you may visit our Facebook and YouTube page to rewatch this session. So while waiting for more people to join us, I would like to invite you all to join our Postgraduate Open Day if you are looking for professional education beyond undergraduate studies. All right, it's a 2 days event starting from today until tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day at our APU campus, Kuala Lumpur. All right, so other than that, we have also prepared a series of talks covering various areas like design innovation management, data science, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and more throughout these 2 days of Postgraduate Open Day. So feel free to join us. You guys can log onto our website at www.apu.edu.my to check out more. Okay, so now we are at 2:34 p.m. in Malaysia. So for this session, we will be sharing a topic on Pulse of Fintech 2022, Predictions and Trends. Let us welcome our speaker of today, Ms. Ng Hui Chen, to share with us more. Ms. Ng, I shall leave the floor to you.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to this talk sections. So can I get my slides on? Just give me a second. Okay, so hi everyone. So today I'll be sharing with you the Pulse of Fintech 2022. So what are the predictions and the trends for this industry? I think before we talk about the trends on the industry, so let's quickly recap of what is fintech. Right, so before the pandemic, probably when we are saying fintech, a lot of people may find it like, oh, what is this fintech all about? But probably after the pandemic, these terms have become more familiar to all of you here. So fintech, it's basically the marriage between finance and technology. In short, we are referring fintech to the delivery of financial services using innovative technology. So some of you may be thinking, fintech, okay, I have used fintech before. So the fintech solutions that you are using before probably may be payment, or some of you lately might be hearing about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies, but fintech cover broader than that. So apart from payment and remittances that all of us are so familiar with, like the Touch and Go e-wallet, Boost e-wallet that we have been using before. Okay, so we also have cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And today, when we are talking about cryptocurrencies, all right, or even blockchain. So it doesn't now stop on cryptocurrency only, like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Today we have new terms being coined, such as non-fungible token, decentralized finance, or even Web3. These are all the new trends emerge because of this technology called blockchain. So the world is going to be transformed to another level and another spectrum faster than what we expected, right? So apart from this two, all right, we also have alternative finance. So what is alternative finance? I used to tell this to some of my students. Last time, if we need money, we will need to walk into a bank and get the money, borrow the money from the bank. But today, when you need money, you no longer need to walk into the bank. You can go to platforms such as peer-to-peer lending or even crowdfunding platform, equity crowdfunding platform. So which means to say that the platform now, they gather both the lenders and the borrowers together, right? So whoever who needs the money can just launch their campaign in this platform, and the lenders who have the money or the investor who have the excessive funds, they can just look at the campaign. If they find it suitable, if they find it confident, they will just invest the money in the platform for that particular borrower. So today, we no longer need to rely on the bank as a single source of funding. We can actually go to all this platform. So these are all made possible because of financial technology. All right. So apart from alternative finance, we also have insurtech, or basically insurance technology. So what is insurance technology? In the past, we always know that insurance always very costly, or sometimes the insurance are not able to provide a customized or solutions or customized pricing. But today, thanks to technology, we will be able to get a more customized solution and pricing because of the technology. I'm not sure how many of you have actually used this or came across this telematics insurance, which has been made available in the Western country and also in Malaysia. All right. So the telematics insurance is something like that. They have the devices that they will actually tag along to vehicles. So these devices is connected to the internet. It's basically IoT devices, right? And they will actually capture the frequencies of your traveling. They will capture how fast the speeds of the car. They will capture whether you have actually breached the laws or not. So all this data will then be actually transmitted back to the insurance provider, and the insurance provider will be able to provide you a better pricings based on the data, or a more customized pricings based on the data. So these are all insurtech. Of course, we have more example than this. For instance, we can also use AI, artificial intelligence, in processing the claim and make the whole claim processing process more transparent as well as more efficient, right? So that is insurance technology, all right? And we also have digital banks. If some of you who have been watching closely to what is happening to our Malaysia financial industry, you probably would have heard about this news about, I think, end of April, the central banks of Malaysia, Bank Negara, have announced that they have granted 5 digital banking license to 5 consortiums. So going forward, very, very soon, we are going to see that more and more of these innovative banking solutions being offered, and all these banking solutions are offered from a banks without any physical branches, right? So these are all upcoming things that we are going to see very, very soon in Malaysia. And of course, worldwide, we have seen some countries already moving into that directions already. Okay, so apart from digital bankings, we also have the advice and personal finance sites. So this is basically some applications that helps the investors in making their financial planning decisions. For instance, one of the very common or the well-known one will be robo-advisors. You guys know what is robo-advisors? Robo-advisor is basically a digital investment platform powered by artificial intelligence. In the past, if you are someone who needs to invest your money but you have no idea where you want to invest, you typically need to engage with a human advisors, right? But not everyone can afford a human advisors because the charges are not cheap. The charges are not cheap. So, but thanks to this technology, now you can go to this robo-advisors platform by answering a few questions such as your goals of investment, your risk appetite, and then based on your goals, your risk appetite, the platform would be automatically select a portfolio of investment for you to invest. And all this model is made available to the investors at a very affordable cost, right? So these are all the new changes, right, that make fintech solutions, that make financial solutions more widely accessible to different walks, different types of people, different segments of the society. Okay, and last but not the least, okay, we have RegTech. RegTech basically is regulatory technology. Probably some of you is going to ask me, hey, how come RegTech is actually parked under FinTech? So what is the relationship between this RegTech and FinTech? Now, if you're someone who knows about financial industry, I always say financial industry is a very heavily regulated industry for a very simple reason. Why? Because fintech or financial industry, they are the safekeeper, okay, of people's money. They keep our money. So when they keep the people and public money, the regulators will not allow the financial players to do whatever they want without any limits and put the public money at risk. Hence, regulation has become a synonym in the financial industry. All right. So RegTech is a technology that helps both the regulators as well as the financial players. Okay. Regulator is of course, for the regulators to monitors and supervise the industry players to make sure that they do the things based on what is being permitted. And for the financial player sides, they use technology to make sure they are reporting their compliance. So these are all the different fintech segments that that's available right now, and a number of them are now thriving as well. Okay, so that is the fintech segments. So now let's see, okay, so what are the technologies? When we talk about the purpose of fintechs, it is always important to look at what actually, support, what are the backbones to fintech, right? So the enabling technologies, okay, I always like to summarize it using ABCD of fintechs. So this ABCD basically is the important and most important technologies that bring fintech solutions available. So what is this ABCD? So it's basically artificial intelligence. I think these terms today, if many should be very familiar with artificial intelligence. So how fintech or how financial industry use artificial intelligence? In many ways they can use. Just now we have mentioned about robo-advisor. investment advice, investment trends. This is one way artificial intelligence can be put to use. Okay, and besides that, right, we all know financial industry, it's an industry that's dealing with money, right? At the end of the day, all of us are making a living, and we need money to actually make a livings, right? So there will be a lot of fraudulent and illegal activities in financial industry. So artificial intelligence can help the financial industry to predict the fraudulent transactions or the illegal transactions better, and end up help the financial industry to better manage their risk. Okay. So this is the one of the important technologies, enabling technologies for fintech. Okay. So now let's see B. Okay. So the B is actually for blockchain. All right, blockchain. Now today these terms blockchain, all right, people typically may know it like, oh, this is the underlying technologies of Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin is one of the, I think, hotly debated instruments, financial instruments right now. Of course, not only Bitcoin, the peers of Bitcoin such as Ethereum and the likes. And probably some of you, if you have followed what is actually happening around the crypto industry, the recent collapse of the Terra UST, it's basically something that is also hotly discussed at this point of time. But despite all this, negative news in this crypto industry, blockchain is likely to stay. Is likely to be the one of the key transformation or the key driver for the transformations in the industry. Because why? Blockchain has actually made a lot of things more efficient, all right, and they actually give people more control. For instance, if you guys know about what is non-fungible token, something that is also emerged from blockchain. So this one basically gave the content creator greater control so that their works are not pirated by anyone else, are not copied by anyone else without being given due credit to them, the content creator itself, right? So that is blockchain. Of course, in blockchain, we have started to see a new segment emerge from that called Decentralized Finance, another financial industry that's now emerging. Of course, they are not mainstream at this point of time, but they are slowly gaining their traction right now because the size is actually growing starting from last year. So it is also very interesting for us to see going forward, okay, how this decentralized finance will grow. Okay, so that is for the B, the blockchain sites. Okay, and C stands for cloud computing. All right, so I think during the pandemic a lot of us are actually we can work remotely, all thanks to cloud computing. Okay, all thanks to cloud computing. So in cloud computing, the financial players, basically they can store all their data in clouds, and they can actually analyze their data very easily in the clouds, and they can also embed intelligence, the artificial intelligence from the cloud computing. So this is another very important enabler for fintech. And last but not the least is data analytics, right? So as we know, all right, data analytics is basically, if we talk about in the IT areas, this is a lot of people are talking about data analytics, and we are talking about data analytics in fintech as well. Why? I always tell this: financial data that is generated that can actually truly represents or truly reflects the consumer's actual behavior. Why? Okay, say for an instance, if you wanted to gauge the consumer's behavior from Google Analytics, Google Analytics is basically using, people perform a Google search. So from there, they actually predicted, what is the trend right now? So what people are, looking at right now, or what people are favoring right now. But when we talk about financial data generated, for instance, from the e-wallet, that is basically all the actual spending behavior, right? Talk about the financial data that generated from Touch and Go e-wallet, that actually represents your actual spending. I can know that, oh, where you spend this, how much you spend this every month, okay, and your belongs to which age category. So all these data, it can actually turn to a very precious insights to the marketeers or to whoever who are trying to monetize the data by selling these insights to the business. So data analytics is also very important in fintech, and not only in consumers behavior sites. Data analytics is also it is also very important, because why? Because the fintech players are also offering new services because of data analytics. Okay, so can you imagine that some players out there are basically using satellite data to offer financial insights to hedge funds manager. For instance, if I wanted to predict palm oil price before anyone else, because in investment, if you wanted to earn or you wanted to be profitable, you must be ahead of anyone else. Before the information is being released, you must be ahead. So how can you be ahead? Okay, how can you be ahead? So this is what they do. They actually use a satellite image. Okay, satellite image. So they use a satellite image. They will zoom down to all the palm oil plantation farm, and they will, from there, the image will be able to analyze the crops, okay, the palm oil crops. If they think that the yields at this season, okay, that's a lot, and they predict that demand might be slow because of certain things. So if supply a lot, demand's going down, that basically tells you that the palm oil price is likely to reduce, right? Okay, so these hedge funds managers use these insights to take action in the financial market. All right. So data analytics is not only important in fintech to predict merely for consumers' behavior, but the fintech player is also using data analytics, okay, to offer solution. Right. So that's why data analytics is also very important in fintech. Okay, so this is the enabling technologies, the backbone of the technologies that make fintech available. Okay, so now we know about the enabling technologies already. So next, we are going to look at fintech applications by the traditional financial industry. Okay, so fintech is not only about or it is only offered by the new innovative fintech players. Not only that, the traditional financial players has also started to realize the importance of fintech. So I have named a few examples here. So if the traditional financial players have also given equal emphasis on fintech, that will basically tells you the potential for this industry is tremendous. So just to give a few examples, let us look at the example, right? Now, the first example, it's central bank digital currencies rolled out or introduced by China in 2022 during the Winter Olympic. I'm not sure how many of you actually came across these terms called central bank digital currencies. Basically, central bank digital currency, it's we all know cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, everything decentralized, trying to eliminate the financial regulators. But the financial regulators, in their eyes, they would never be comfortable letting go of the control on their currency. So then they see that Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies, is gaining a lot of heat and traction. So they also wanted to create an alternative. So they come out with this central bank digital currencies that powered by blockchain, but different with cryptocurrencies. This central bank digital currency, it's still heavily regulated and controlled by the China Monetary Authority, right? So that tells you that, wow, the central banks also started to look at blockchain technology, started to look at digital currencies. Yeah, of course, there are versions of digital currency, right? So that means, okay, fintech is something that everyone is actually emphasizing on. So that's the first example here. Now, the second example here is the XGX, is a Singapore exchange. They also launched a platform to issue a digital bond also powered by blockchain. And I think in last year, DBS Banks, okay, the largest bank in Singapore, has issued their first digital bond as well. All right, these are all the traditional players, Singapore Exchange and DBS banks. They have also issued bonds in blockchain. So that tells you that the potentials of the technologies is a lot. Okay, it's huge, right? And Standard Chartered, okay, also introduced their digital-only banks, all right, their digital banks, all right, in 2021, okay, and also they rolled out in the Middle East as well, okay, and in HSBC they also issued their letter of credits, okay, using blockchain. And JP Morgan rolled out their digital investment platform, You Invest, for people to invest at using a very minimal amount. So this fintech application by traditional industry, all right. So that's a lot. I just named you a few, but that's a lot. Okay, a lot more examples out there. All right. So that is the applications by the traditional financial industry. Okay. So now, looking at the growth itself, okay, so you can see this one is taken from KPMG, their research. You can basically see that the venture capitalists are globally, and the private equity firms, the money that pour into fintech industry are all on the growing trend. Can you see in 2021? They are all on the growing trend. So which means to say that not only the traditional financial industry is believing in this fintech industry, these venture capital firms, private equity firms, the one who provides the money, they also increase their funding in this industry. So what does that tell you? Fintech is basically, there's a lot of potential. Otherwise, why would these venture capital firms and private equity firms are willing to increase their funding in this industry? If you know exactly how this VC and private equities firms works, okay, and not only that, the regulators worldwide are also very supportive of the development of fintech. All right, as you can see in Malaysia, our two financial regulators, Securities Commission and Bank Negara, they have came out with various initiatives to groom the industry. From, if you talk about policies wise, like how they issue guidelines on digital assets, how they issue guidelines on how they actually came out with the regulatory sandbox, how they actually came out with what they call it, guidelines on peer-to-peer lending, etc. But they also come out with initiatives such as partnering with MDEC to come up with various programs to groom the leaders, to groom the fintech startups, to make sure that these fintech startups can continue to grow and can continue to survive. So all this has actually set a good momentum of growth for fintech. Okay, so that is basically to tell you this fintech, the trend is irreversible. All right, it's going to go further, but it will never turn back anymore. Okay, so now what is the trends? Okay, everyone is actually looking forward at basically what is the top fintech predictions or top fintech trends that we are going to see right now. Some of it I have sort of like covered about it just now, all right, but some of it I haven't. Okay, so the first, of course, this is not by the what do you call it, numerical orders, all right. So the first one is basically digital banking, so all are equally important now. Okay, it's not by numerical order. Okay, so the first one is the rise of digital banking, right? The rise of digital banking. As I mentioned just now, a few central banks have started to grant the digital banking license, okay, to a number of players. So these things going forward, we are going to see, because it will definitely create a different competitive landscape to the existing bank. And I guess this is what the regulators want to see as well. So we want the industries to grow. We want the industry to bring out, to implement a better solutions to the customers, right? So the digital bankings awarded through the non-traditional players would basically give a new and a fresh breath to the industry. So we're really looking forward so how this will be, because they just granted in April. So likely we may see that some of the solutions may be up in a couple of months or maybe next year, but that's definitely is going to bring a new landscape to the industry. So that is in the digital banking side. Now, the next one is the embedded finance. Now, this embedded finance is a term that came out very much recently. Embedded finance, embedded insurance, embedded payment, you name it, or we put it into a greater umbrella, embedded finance. So what is embedded finance? This term was actually extended from things called banking, terms called banking as a service. Now, what is banking as a service? Now, in the past, right, our understandings about banking is basically you go to banks, you can do all transactions in the banks. You can do payment transactions in the banks, you can do lending in the banks, you can put your money in the banks, you can do foreign exchange with the banks, you can do remittances with the banks, you can even buy insurance from the banks. Banks like a one-stop centers. You go to the banks, they can do practically everything financial, okay, of course financial related, practically everything. Okay, but the trend going forward is, okay, it is banking services is going to become more modular basis. Banking as a service is going to be more modular. So what do you mean by that? Okay, going to be more modular basis, meaning to say that going forward, when you see the banks, they may actually they may actually focus on a particular type of services. For instance, lending. Okay, for instance, lending. And I think this is also something that is very popular this day, also gaining a lot of traction recently. Something's called buy now, pay later. If some of you used to actually visited Shopee, Lazada before, you probably would have seen these new things called BNPL, buy now, pay later. So this buy now, pay later is a new trend, okay, that's actually brought about, okay, from this fintech or embedded finance or banking as a service, which means to say that going forward, the banking transactions, it will straight away be embedded into a processes, okay, a processes of a particular company. Okay, for instance, okay, give example. If let's say the airline industry, okay, like AirAsia, if they wanted to offer lending to their customers to purchase air ticket, okay, so the customers can basically get the lending straight away from AirAsia platform itself, and this lending that AirAsia offered, right, would probably be supported or be offered by a bank. And you're going to ask why it must be offered by a bank. Okay, then you have to understand the what do you call it, the mode of operandi for the financial industry. Basically, the central banks won't allow people to simply give out offer financial services without a banking license. Okay, if you know how the financial regulators works, because why they would need to make sure whoever who offer all these things, they're subject to certain requirements, such as capital requirement. Okay, such as capital requirement, so that this capital requirement can serve as a buffer in case anything's happen later. Okay, so they won't actually allow any companies to go and give out their loans without any prior approval from the regulators. So if AirAsia wanted to offer the what you call the loan directly, but they do not want to apply for a license, so they would definitely need to engage with a bank. So the banks can now offer their banking services, only lending parts, and embedded that into the current air ticket purchase of the AirAsia. All right, so AirAsia customer come to the platform, they buy a ticket, and they can straight away click if they wanted to get the what do you call it, landing, and then they can complete it. All the transaction within the AirAsia platform itself. So they don't need to actually go out from that. So this is basically an example of embedded finance. Okay, right. So give you one more example that's already materializing now. Also something that is like kind of controversial, which is the gold pinjam. If you heard about this gold pinjam lending services offered by Touch and Go, it is also powered by who? CIMB Bank. These are all an example for embedded finance. Okay, so going forward you may see more and more of this, like for instance insurance. Okay, insurance. So maybe you buy something, you buy a new phone. All right, so you buy a new phone, but you're worried that your phone might lose. Let's say you buy an iPhone, a very expensive iPhone, and you're worried that your iPhone might be stolen. So going forward you might see that the telco or even the those players will be able to actually provide you, when they sell the phone to you, they will also be able to provide you with an insurance, and this insurance will be powered or will be actually offered by the traditional player. So this is the example of embedded finance. Okay, so very soon, okay, we already seen that, but very soon we are going to see more and more of this. So going forward, you may not see a banks as it is already. Next time you might see Maybank as offer lending services. You might see CIMB maybe offering investment services, very well known for that. It may not be CIMB Bank anymore that offer every single solution. That is basically the trend that we are going to see in a very near future, right? So that is embedded finance. Now, the third one is Web3 and blockchain. Okay, and just now I sort of like touches about Web3 and blockchain, and you guys know basically what is Web3. Web3 is just a terms lah. They said, currently what we are right now is Web2, so going forward is Web3. But basically, what is Web3? Web3 is everything that's basically decentralized. Okay, if you know how blockchain works, blockchain has no centralized authority. Everything in blockchain is set up by the peers. For instance, if you are a network, okay, so all the peers have a chance to do the settlements together. That is basically blockchain, right? So in Web3, okay, more and more of decentralization is going to be seen. For instance, you are going to see a decentralized social media is already there, a decentralized social media, meaning to say that you don't need to be like Facebook right now. All your data, you have to succumb to Facebook. Facebook control all your data. But in a decentralized world, you take charge. You take control of your own data, who you want to share your data with. All right. So this is basically Web3, branches out from blockchain. All right. And also recently, something also very popular, metaverse. All right. So metaverse, Web3, blockchain. So all this would be something that we are going to see. It is going to be something that it will exist in parallel. They will coexist. Of course, whatever that we see traditionally right now, physically right now, it cannot be replaced. It cannot be replaced still, but we're going to see another platform that's going to coexist together, right? So for instance, we might see a metaverse coexist together, and then in metaverse, you can actually make the payment using cryptocurrency or digital currencies, or you may actually see another world that we started to use a lot of this decentralized application. All right, when everything we talk about, wanted to do any apps, etc., everything is decentralized. So no longer like what we are seeing right now. What we are seeing right now is basically everything is controlled. Okay, it's controlled by the entity, and you don't even have an ideas, right, who your data is actually shared with. But in decentralized world, in Web3 world, you take charge of that. But as to how soon it will be, all right, it all depends. Okay, so we will still need to be we will still need to wait for a while for it to be fully materialized. But this definitely is some trends that deserve to be noticed, something that we need to watch out for. Web3 and blockchain. Okay, right. The next one is the dawn of super apps. Okay, so if you know what happens to China, like WeChat Pay, Alipay, all right, you probably would know that this WeChat Pay and Alipay is an app that is basically a super app. That means you can do everything. You can book a movie ticket there. You can buy what they call it, buy things there. You can actually buy insurance there. You can invest your money there. You see, our touch and go is also following that direction, offering insurance, offering you lending platforms. Sooner or later, they are going to enable more and more function. But this super app, outside of China, in the Western country, they are still at the very beginning stage, all right? And they predicted that this super app was started to grow very fast in all this Western country, of course, including Malaysia as well. All right, and perhaps going forward, we might also see things like financial supermart as well. Financial supermart, basically, you go to that particular application, you can do different things, and these financial supermarts will sell the products and services of different entities. So no longer like you go to Maybank, you only need to get Maybank lending services. Go to CIMB to get CIMB payment services. No, you can go to the platform and you can choose the different payment services offered by different branding. And we are going to see this, I think, very soon, because we already have this supermart concept. If you know, in Malaysia, we already have something called Fund Supermart. You can actually go to this platform. You can buy all sort of mutual funds that are at a very affordable cost, right? And going forward, I think we're going to see financial supermarkets very soon, especially with this banking as a service model going to emerge. All right, soon this will be a concept. All right, just for information, if you actually notice, some of the banks, okay, I don't name it lah, some of the banks have already started to sell their services in the e-commerce platform like Shopee. All right, so this is all the beginning trend of the financial supermarkets, or the beginning of the era of financial supermarkets or super apps. Okay, right, so you call it a super apps, or another way it can be a financial supermarket, right? So that is another trend that we are going to see very very soon. Okay, and last but not the least, okay, we are going to see more and more focuses on ESG Fintech. So ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. All right, I think lately this topic has also gathered a lot of attention. If you know what actually happens to our climate, all right, what happens to our climate? We have actually seen some climate change. All right, those of us who are in KL, I think we suffered this many times beginning of the year. The huge downpour, very heavy downpour that led to flash floods and led to a lot of cars being affected. Right, these are all because of climate change, or you can call it also overdevelopment. Right, so so I think the societies now is also started to realize the importance to actually take care of the environment, or also looking for the someone that looking at the social impacts. For instance, fighting poverty, all right, make sure everyone can get access to financial services, so that everyone can also have chances to move, okay, have chances to grow. All right, so this ESG focused fintech, all right, we started to see this, they have created this social fintech things. So these things, earlier in the past we talked about social finance, so very general, so in fintech side, we are going to see also social fintech or ESG fintech. So this is all the trends that we are going to see, all right, in the fintech industry. Okay, right, it's a new trend. Okay, so a good fintech ecosystems, okay, we can never run out of this. You must have demand from the customers. You must have a policies from the government, the supportive policies from the government, and also capital, the one who gave the funds, and very importantly, the right talent. That's why we are here to share with you fintech programs, to share with you why it is actually important to consider about having a fintech master program or degree, because the industry, if the industry needs to grow, they need to have the right talent. Okay, so what basically we need to have in a talent, okay, if fintech talent, the skill sets needed, yeah, right. So the skill sets needed for any finance graduates, all right, you need to have knowledge on the core concepts of finance. That is very important. Don't ever think that now we are fintech already, we don't need to actually know what is actually the basic financial concepts. No, this is very wrong, because all of these fintechs product, including those the very disruptive blockchain finance, is basically built from the traditional financial concept as well. They also talk about inflation model. They also talk about risk and return. So to know about the core concepts of finance is still very, very important. Okay, and digital skills is also very important. All right, so that's why we are offering you fintech degrees that combine both finance as well as technology. All right, so that is the first things needed, okay, for future graduates. The next one is you will also need to have emotional and social intelligence. Why? You must be able to predict what the society wants. Okay, you must be able to predict what they want before anyone else. Like Steve Jobs, how he predicted that the people going forward will need a smartphone that can basically do everything using a smartphone. So, future graduates, you must be also be able to having this kind of sense as well, market sense. Very, very important. Okay, so emotional and social intelligence is also very important. Okay, and creativity. If you look at what is actually offered in fintech, you'll be amazed. Basically, amazed by all the creativity portrayed by all these players who created this product. You'll be amazed, like, wow, how can I actually be think like that? So future graduate needs to be creative. So we must be able to think out of the box. Currently, this is how it is work. So going forward with technologies, how can we actually break the wall? How can we actually offer the solutions differently? So creativity is also very, very important. Okay, and last but not the least, it's decisions making, right? So future graduates must be able to make strategic decisions, because we going forward, you may be presented with a lot of analytical insights, etc., from the AI systems. So we must be able to do a right decision making, right strategy, pick up the right strategy for the company. So those are the skill sets needed for the future graduates. Okay, so why we're talking about this? Because this is a part of fintech. When we talk about to keep the momentum of fintechs growing, to keep the pulse of the fintechs growing, we need talent. We cannot run away from the talent. We have been speaking to various industry players, and sometimes these industry players are willing to spend time together with us to build the talents, because they know that if they do not do that, they will be running out of talents and they won't be able to grow their business further, right? So that is why we are talking about this today to all of you here. Okay, so that is basically what I'm going to share with you today, a little bit of the insights of what keeping the pulse of the fintechs, okay, the momentum of the growth of the fintech. So now I would like to hand the sessions back to the host to see if there's any discussion that we want to discuss further or any questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Ang, for your insightful sharing. Okay, I never know that there's so much more to banking and finance now that it can be so interesting and fun with the infusion of technology, hence what we call it fintech. Okay, so I believe there's more potential and also opportunities waiting for us to discover and also venture. I think for both service providers and end customers as well. Okay, so now let's open the floor to some Q&As. So if you have any questions you would like to address to Ms. Ng, you can actually just type it out at the comment section. Okay, so while waiting, I do have a few questions with me here to actually ask Ms. Ng. All right, so the first question that I have is, what are the greatest challenges encountered by the fintech industry now?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Cynthia, for the questions. So, if you actually happen to observe what is happening to worldwide as well as Malaysia, recently we have actually encountered some cybersecurity challenges. I'm not sure whether you guys read the news that a number of people have actually lost their money in their e-banking, in their account in e-banking. Their money got transferred out without their notice because they accidentally downloaded some APK application that causes their SMS, that causes their password to be monitored, okay, or to be able to seen by the hackers, right? So these cybersecurity challenges has in fact affected the confidence of the usage or the adoptions of the fintech application, because fintech basically keep our monies, right? So who will be comfortable or who will be confident if, let's say, the security is not up to the par? They will be worried that their money, their hard-earned money, will lost in a few seconds, and they will be left with nothing. So cybersecurity is one of the greatest challenges right now, and I think very soon, I think the fintech player is going to putting more resources and efforts, okay, to beef up the cyber security in the fintech in order to make sure that the customers' confidence are not affected. So that is one. So the second one is basically the regulation. The regulations are the compliance with the regulation. This is also one of the challenges, because some of these fintech solutions they are very new, until the extent sometimes regulators or people around have a hard time to actually keep up. Hey, what is this solutions all about? Like, you need to find out what is this. This is a very new thing that you have never heard about that before. So sometimes we are also in the gray area. So how this regulation should be regulated, okay, and who should be regulated that. So this is also another challenges encountered by the fintech industry. And last but not the least, okay, is the lack of right expertise. Like I mentioned just now, the talent, we may have a lot of tech expertise, okay, but tax expertise may not be able to understand how finance work, especially if you're someone who wanted to build financial application. You need to understand the pain points of financial solution. If you're not someone in the industry, sometimes you won't be able to know, basically that is the weakness, that is the pain point of the financial industry that the financial industry is encountering right now. So but if you talk about to a pure finance graduate, they may not be able to understand, hey, basically what is this AI and how can we actually use AI in this financial solution. So we will need a right combinations between finance and also technology. That's why we have the courses called fintech, and we can't just rely alone on tech because they may not understand finance, cannot rely alone on finance because they may not understand the tech. So we need both to come together. Okay, so that is basically the three challenges that is actually encountered by the fintech industry.
Okay. All right. So we have one more question from the floor. What are your views on the future of cryptocurrency?
Okay, so today we just talk about cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies is not just about currencies alone already today. Okay, if you are just talking about currency, crypto assets being used as currency alone. Okay, if you ask me right now, I would say that the usage as a currency may not be that promising yet. Okay, why? Because at this point of time, I think the regulators, as well as the lay people, they are not very comfortable to place all their trust on technology in terms of currencies alone. So that's why we have started to see, like, China, even Cambodia, a few countries like UK are coming up with their central bank digital currencies as an alternative to cryptocurrencies. Okay, but today crypto is not just about cryptocurrencies anymore. Okay, it is also about things like security token, things like non-fungible token, like how they actually use the non-fungible token powered by blockchain to represent an ownership on an asset, like an artwork, like a song file, like a photo. All right, for instance, you can actually buy, let's say you capture some of the some celebrities photos, a very precious moment, you can actually sell this in the NFT space for some money. And if people wanted to take a photo and resell it, the blockchain will actually keep track of that. So they cannot do anything like reselling the photo or your artwork without your permission or without giving credits to you, right? So if we talk about cryptos, okay, aside from currencies, the potential is actually a lot in this area, in non-fungible token, in security token, to represent asset. For instance, you can actually use it to represent the trading of gold, all right, of a gold, trading of what do you call it, any metals, all right, any commodities. You can use this as this token to facilitate the trading. But currency alone, at this point of time, okay, the usage as a payment, as a currency, I think it is there's still a lot of work to be done. Okay, only a very few countries have actually recognized Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as their legal tender. Other than that, all are basically banning cryptocurrency. They only allowed it for investment. They only allowed it for trading purpose. So that's why I said it. For crypto sites, the what do you call it? The more promising futures is on like security. The represents, okay, they use the token to represent certain asset, but not a currency at this point of time. That is basically what I would actually think about this, the futures of this area, this space, crypto space.
Okay, thank you for your views on this cryptocurrency. Okay, so I have one last question here. I think, okay, let me read out the question. Okay, so why need to study a master degree for a fintech?
Okay, all right. So if you are someone who are long enough in the financial industry, then of course you need to study fintech. Why? Because when you study a master degree in fintech, you will learn the innovative ways of doing things. You can use the innovative ways or the cutting edge technologies to transform every single aspect of the traditional financial industry. And trust me, these transformations will definitely help your organizations, will definitely help your customers, all right, to basically have your organization and your customers, okay, towards a better and a more efficient solution. Even someone who are already in the financial industry, because I think you definitely would want to learn about this way, because this is the future. This is the future. And even someone who are still fresh in the industry, like just a few years graduating, just joined the industry not too fast, then this is even more. You need to actually learn about fintech. Why? Because you are still young, and fintech is definitely the future. It's definitely the future, because just now remember, I've been showing you even the traditional financial industry is applying fintech. in different aspects. Of course, the application, I would say that it haven't actually gone all out yet. There's still a lot of rooms, right, of application, right? So if you have learned about these things, then you can actually go back, use the knowledge that you have learned, go back to the industry, to the organizations that you are serving, and provide a better strategy and solutions to your organization. So that is why you need to actually study a fintech, especially those of you who are in the financial industry. If you're not in the financial industry, welcome to join the financial industry. For all you know, financial industry is one of the what do you call it? I cannot say highest paid, but it's actually one of the industry who paid well. All right, in terms of the salary. Okay, welcome to see why finance. I can say no matter how it transforms, this industry will still be needed. Why? Finance is at the heart of any commerce. No one commerce can get rid of finance. The moment you walk out, even business individual, you need finance. You need to use money. So that is why you need to study a degree or a master's in fintech.
Well noted. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Ng, again for the sharing. Okay, so I think that's all the questions we have from the floor. All right, so next up, guys, we have a very interesting topic on cybersecurity, career pathway, and how to get started. Okay, so this session will be live later this afternoon at 4 p.m. Malaysia time. So be sure to tune in and find out more about cybersecurity and its career pathway. All right. So that's all for today. Thank you so much again, Miss Ng, for joining us, and
Thank you.
also for those of you, who is
Thank you.
watching.
Bye-bye.
Yes. All right. Yeah. So thank you again, everyone who is watching this session in front of the screen. All right. So we look forward to seeing you guys online and also on campus very, very soon. Okay. So have a good day ahead, and thank you, everyone. Take care.